our boat right now, if you look at politics, at everything, it's not going in the right direction. And I'm trying to rock it. My hope is, if we find evidence for a neighbor, it will change everything. Because first we would realize there is someone more accomplished than we are out there. And perhaps, just like finding a smarter student in your class, you can learn from it, And second, are we alone? Is there someone else in our neighborhood? Is there a smarter kid in our cosmic block? Now, we tend to think throughout our history, humans thought, we are very privileged. We are the smartest beings on Earth. And guess what? We can put on the menu in restaurants animals that are less smart than we are. We can eat them. That's what we do, right? You go to a restaurant, you can eat a chicken. No problem. We don't have any ethical issue with eating animals that are less smart than us. But suppose we encounter an extraterrestrial. If we don't leave a good impression on that extraterrestrial, they might put us in their soup. So it's really important to know whether there are others out there. And by the way, we are engaged in conflicts, wars here on Earth. We are led by our politicians to conflicts because here on Earth, everything is zero-sum game. Like there is a certain territory, one nation wants it, another nation wants it. There are 2 wars right now related to that. So it's a zero-sum game. If one side benefits, the other loses. That's what politics is about. But if we find someone out there, first of all, there is unlimited real estate beyond Earth. There is no point in fighting over territory on this rock that we happen to be born on. There is so much out there. We should think about going somewhere else. But moreover, that neighbor that we might find may serve as a better role model for us than our politicians, because it might inspire us to behave better. It might be more intelligent than we are. And the strange thing is, when you bring this up, people say, this is an extraordinary claim that requires extraordinary evidence. It's very unlikely we might be alone. In fact, Elon Musk motivates the idea that SpaceX should bring people to Mars because we have a duty. We might be the only conscious beings in the entire universe. I don't think so. He didn't really search for others. And the whole point is scientific knowledge does not fall into our lap. It requires a lot of work. So Elon Musk said, I have all these communication satellites and none of them collided with an unidentified flying object, a UFO. Therefore, I haven't seen any evidence for aliens. That's not the right approach. I actually calculated this week that if you were to consider a meter-sized object, moving around at an altitude of 550 kilometers, where Elon Musk's communication satellites are, it will only collide with one of these 6,000 Starlink satellites in 1,000 years. So this is not really a good measure. And moreover, if there are any functioning devices near Earth, they might be at much lower altitudes. They might be doing something else. They will not collide with communication satellites. In fact, you want to use sensors to look up. And my whole point is that the intelligent thing to do is actually be curious and humble. And we find it really hard. We keep insisting that we are at the center of the universe. If, before Nicolaus Copernicus that you mentioned, it was thought that we are at the center. And the church promoted that idea because people feel better if they are at the center of attention. And so then Nicolaus Copernicus was a priest, by the way. I learned it when I went to Poland. He was a priest. He didn't want to rock the boat. And he wanted to help the church. So he realized the church is unable to figure out exactly when Easter is they have a model where the Earth is at the center and everything moves around the Earth, and they get Easter wrong by a few days. So he said, well, let's think about it. If we look at all the data and we put the sun in the middle, it actually works quite well. We can figure out when Easter is quite accurately. So he gave the church this model where the sun was in the middle of the solar system, and they said, great, we will use your model, but we will ban your book. The book was forbidden until the 19th century because they said the Earth is still, they didn't want to change the public perception. And so they said, in reality, the Earth is at the center, but this is a theoretical model that we will use to figure out Easter. And the lesson from this is that, sometimes it's important to rock the boat if the boat is going in the wrong direction. And our boat right now, if you look at politics, at everything, it's not going in the right direction. And I'm trying to rock it. My hope is, if we find evidence for a neighbor, it will change everything. Because first we would realize there is someone more accomplished than we are out there. And perhaps, just like finding a smarter student in your class, you can learn from it, And second, it will inspire us to do better, to go to space, to preserve ourselves. We live for less than 120 years, which is 1 part in 100 million of the age of the universe. We live for such a short time, and yet we engage in wars and conflicts that shorten this time that we are on this earth even more. Does that sound intelligent to you?
No.
So my hope is, there are religions talking about Messiah coming to earth, bringing peace and understanding. My hope is that the Messiah will not necessarily come from this earth, that it would come from another star and would give us a better perspective about how to handle ourselves as the human species, to do better, basically. And, maybe I can help bring the message to us. That's really my hope. So these are examples for questions that you asked me, what are some of the existential questions? These two are another thing I wanted to mention is that in 1882, Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher, declared God is dead. Okay? And by the way, he belonged to the same nation that killed 6 million Jews a century later. But it also led to the hubris that you find nowadays. Without spirituality, where science and technology is celebrated, and there is no sense of a purpose other than enjoying yourself, and perhaps finding a superhuman entity out there will bring back the sense of awe that religion did bring, a sense of modesty, humility. You are not the most powerful thing. There is someone else out there. When Moses in the Old Testament, he saw the burning bush that was never consumed. And that convinced Moses that God exists. Nowadays, you can buy online a burning bush that will never be consumed, and it would have impressed Moses. All I'm saying is technology, when it's advanced enough, well beyond what we possess right now, can show up as a miracle, can be very impressive, convince us that there is something much more powerful than us. And this dose of modesty is really needed now.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.